The world's a broken mirror, shattering with every reflection, every scar. And here you are, standing, not as a person anymore, but as a force. A monster, yes. But let's get one thing straight. This was no birth. No. This was a resurrection. The very hands that built you up, those same hands that once held you, have now dug your grave. And in that grave, a monster was born. No one talks about that, do they? No one dares to tell you the truth of how this darkness, this rage, came to life. It didn't come from nowhere, darling. It wasn't just a twist of fate. It was their betrayal. That's what did it. How strange, isn't it? They were supposed to be your light, your guiding stars. But all they've ever been is a flickering flame. A flame that in the end burned your trust, burned your soul. And now you're left with nothing but the ashes of what they promised you. Promises, lies, broken oaths. They've painted your life in shades of regret, made you drink from the poisoned cup of disappointment. And you drank it all. You swallowed their deceit, every drop, with the kind of silence only a victim knows. But now, silence has turned to a roar. You didn't just survive the pain, did you? No, you've become it. People don't understand you. They never will. How could they? They see a monster, but what they fail to see is the life you once had. They don't know the chains that held you down, the promises that crushed you, the friendships that were nothing more than lies wrapped in kindness. They didn't see the slow decay. They didn't see the cracks in the foundation of your world. They didn't see how it all crumbled under their hands. But you did. You saw everything, the betrayal, the deceit, the laughter in their eyes as they crushed your spirit. And here you are, a broken thing standing taller than them all. Betrayal doesn't come in whispers. No, it comes in the cold, piercing silence of 1,000 unsaid words. In the last glance that tells you everything you need to know. And you knew. You knew long before they thought you figured it out. You could taste it on the air, like metal, like blood. Their smiles were nothing but masks, masking the knives they were ready to bury in your back. The very same knives you'll use to carve your way through their world, through their lies. You were weak once. Oh, how weak you were. They made sure of that, didn't they? They fed off your weakness, manipulated it, used it against you. But in the deep, dark corners of your mind, something began to grow. Something dark, something terrible. When they broke you, they didn't realize they were creating a weapon. Weapons, you see, aren't born out of kindness. They're forged in the heat of rage, in the fire of vengeance. And you were forged. They didn't break you. They made you. They didn't destroy your soul. They only gave it the shape it was always meant to have. A weapon, sharp and deadly. And now you'll use it. Your transformation didn't happen overnight. No, it wasn't some sudden epiphany. It was a process, a slow, agonizing process. The pain was the catalyst, the fire that ignited something far darker than you ever imagined. Your anger, your pain, they were nothing but tools that shaped you, sharpened you. And the more you bled, the more the monster inside you grew, stronger, hungrier, more unstoppable. What did you expect? For them to feel guilty? For them to come crawling back, begging for forgiveness? No, you gave them the chance to repent, to redeem themselves. And they didn't take it. They laughed. They laughed at your pain, at your suffering, at your trust. And now they will reap what they sowed. But you'll never be the same. You've seen the truth of who they really are. And there's no going back from that. The mask has been ripped off, and all that's left is the bare, raw, terrifying reality. They thought they could break you. They thought you were nothing but an empty shell, a weak soul desperate for a hand to lift it. But what they failed to see was that you didn't need them. You never did. They were just a crutch, a facade to hide behind. And now that facade is gone, you've been reborn. And the monster that has risen from the ashes, well, it doesn't care for apologies. It doesn't care for redemption. It doesn't care for anything but destruction. The chains that held you down are now the very chains that bind them. You've become the predator, and they're the prey. They'll beg. Oh, they'll beg. But it won't matter. It won't make a difference. You've seen the depths of their cruelty, their lies, their betrayal. They took your trust and shattered it like glass, and now they'll pay the price. They won't get to walk away unscathed. No, the monster you've become, it doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. And this is only the beginning of the end for them. You've waited long enough. Now, the world will see what happens when a broken soul is pushed too far. When the final thread of humanity is snipped away, leaving only a creature built from vengeance, from pain, from raw, unrelenting fury. And so the world will burn. The world doesn't understand power. No, not real power. They mistake it for control, for domination over others. But that's not true power, is it? True power is the freedom to destroy and rebuild without hesitation, to break everything that dares to stand in your way, and to rise from the wreckage with a smile. You've felt it now. You've tasted it. The pure, unfiltered satisfaction that comes from taking back everything that was stolen from you. They thought they could hold you down. They thought they could bury you under the weight of their lies, their schemes, their betrayal. But in doing so, they forged your essence. They set the stage for the greatest performance the world will ever see. You've been reborn, but it wasn't some sudden spark of clarity. No, it wasn't some divine intervention that brought you back from the brink. It was the slow, relentless grind of pain, betrayal, and anger that shaped you, hardened you. You see, they never understood what they were dealing with. They thought they could break you with their manipulations, but all they did was carve out a darkness in you, a void that swallowed their lies whole, that consumed everything they threw at you. They didn't break you, darling. They unlocked something far more terrifying than they could ever imagine. They unlocked your true self. They didn't kill you. They created a nightmare. And now, the nightmare is awake. The silence they left behind, it's deafening. It's the silence of the grave, the silence that comes after you've been crushed beyond repair. But that silence, it no longer bothers you. No, that silence has become your ally, your most trusted confidant. It's the calm before the storm. It's the moment of stillness before the world knows what it's up against. They've crossed a line, haven't they? They've made the mistake of thinking you were weak, that you were nothing but a broken thing that could be discarded. But you're not weak. You never were. You were just waiting for the right moment to show them the true cost of betrayal. And that moment has arrived. What they fail to understand, what they fail to see in their arrogance, is that their betrayal wasn't the end of your story. No, it was the beginning of theirs, the beginning of a new chapter, one where the monster you've become will hunt them, one by one. They're not ready for it. They've never been ready for you, for what's coming. Every choice they made, every time they laughed at your suffering, every time they twisted the knife deeper into your heart, it's all led to this moment where you stand on the precipice, looking down at the ruins of what they thought they had built. Their world, their empire, it's all about to come crashing down, and you will be the one to watch it burn. The funny thing about betrayal is that it never leaves you. It stays with you, festering in the back of your mind, growing like a tumor, poisoning your thoughts. It turns your heart cold, makes your soul as empty as the lies they fed you. It changes you, but that's the beauty of it, isn't it? What they didn't realize is that you were never the victim. You were always the weapon, and now you are the hunter, and they are the prey. But you don't want revenge, do you? No, revenge is too simple, too predictable. What you want is something far more satisfying. You want to break them. You want to strip them of their pride, their ego, their sense of invincibility. You want to make them feel the same helplessness that once consumed you. You want them to know, in the deepest corners of their being, what it's like to be nothing. They never saw the darkness inside you, did they? They never saw what you were capable of. But now, they'll have no choice but to face it, head on. Because the darkness isn't just a part of you anymore. It's you. It's the air you breathe, the fire that runs through your veins. You've become it. They say the worst thing you can do to a person is take everything from them. But you've learned something more sinister. You've learned that the worst thing you can do is make them watch you take everything, and then leave them with nothing but the memory of their own arrogance, their own cruelty. And in that memory, they'll find nothing but an endless, aching void. So, you'll make them watch. You'll make them watch as you rise, as you tear apart everything they ever believed in, everything they ever thought was safe. And in the end, when the dust settles and everything they built lies in ruins, they'll look up and realize that the monster they created was never going to be satisfied. No, you're not satisfied with their destruction. You're not satisfied with their downfall. You're satisfied with the silence that will come after they've lost everything. The silence that will be your victory, your triumph, your crowning moment. But you won't let them off that easy. No, they'll suffer. They'll suffer like they made you suffer. They'll feel every inch of the pain they inflicted on you, every ounce of the agony they thought they could bury deep inside you. And when they do, when they finally begin to understand the cost of their betrayal, it will be too late. Because you've already moved on. You've already won. Now, it's their turn to drown in the same silence that once consumed you. And when they do, when they finally scream for mercy, you'll be there. But mercy? Mercy died long ago. And so, the game begins. There's a reason why they call it the fall from grace. It's not just a metaphor. It's a descent into madness, a long, drawn-out process of watching everything you held dear disintegrate into dust. They had no idea they were pushing you towards that precipice. No idea they were forging your descent. But now, as you stand at the peak of all that destruction, you realize something crucial. You didn't fall. You ascended. They've all been living in a world of comfort, surrounded by their petty deceptions, their fragile truths. They never truly understood what it meant to live on the edge of the abyss. You did. You felt the cold breath of it against your neck, the pull of its darkness. And yet, you didn't fall. You embraced it. You let it in. And in doing so, you discovered something more powerful than any of them could ever comprehend. You found freedom in the chaos. They thought they could break you with their false promises, their empty assurances. But what they didn't realize is that their cruelty was the thread that wove your future. It was the spark that ignited the fire you've become. The flames of your rage, your need for vengeance. They're not a burden. No, they are your fuel. They are what drives you now. They've turned you into something far greater than anything they ever could have imagined. You are no longer human in their eyes. You're a force of nature. You are the storm they never saw coming. But you know what the funny part is? They've all been waiting for the day you break. They've all been hoping for the day you crumble under the weight of their betrayal. They think they've won, that they've gotten away with their sins, but they've missed the most critical detail of all. They never broke you. They never had that power. No, the real power lies in the aftermath. It lies in watching them fall, watching them writhe in the agony of their own reckoning. They'll never know the peace you found in this journey. They'll never know the release that comes with the truth you've uncovered. You see, the thing about power is that it doesn't just come from taking. It doesn't come from destroying what's in front of you. True power comes from making them feel the weight of their own sins, watching them drown in the consequences of their actions. That's where the real satisfaction lies. They will see, in their last moments, what it means to stand in the shadow of the monster they made. They will finally understand the depth of their mistake, and it will be their undoing. But here's where it gets interesting. You don't need them to admit their failure. You don't need their apology. No, you don't need any validation from them. The truth is, they've already given you the greatest gift they could ever offer. They made you who you are. And in doing so, they gave you the power to walk away from them without a second thought. You're no longer a victim, remember? You're the master. You are the one who dictates the rules of the game now. You've taken control of the narrative, rewritten the ending, and now you stand at the top of it all, watching them scramble to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. They thought they could break you. They thought they could wear you down with their cruelty. But what they didn't realize is that by breaking you, they built the very monster that now watches over them. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The way the wheel turns, the way the tables shift, the way they go from predator to prey, from oppressor to victim. The world works in mysterious ways, but one thing's for certain. No one gets away with it. Not really. Not for long. The truth has a way of catching up, of weaving its web around those who think they can escape it. They made the mistake of thinking they could erase you, but you weren't just erased. You were reborn, and now you stand above them, not as a savior, no, but as a warning. You are the consequence. You are the price they will pay for every moment they thought they had control over your life. And as they fall, as they watch their empire crumble around them, as they realize the nightmare they've unleashed, remember this: they've already paid the price. But you've already won. And the monster that they turned you into, it doesn't crave redemption. It doesn't crave sympathy. It doesn't crave anything but the silence that comes after it all falls apart. The silence that tells you that the war has ended, and you've come out on top. The silence that tells you that the story is yours and theirs. Their story was always going to end in ashes. You don't need to make them scream. You don't need to make them beg. No, you only need to watch them suffer in the silence of their own failure. That's where the true power lies. So let them run. Let them scream. Let them try to rebuild. You've already won. And the monster they created will always be watching, waiting for the perfect moment to remind them of it.